Howdy folks, Brother Jim reporting here from End Times Prophecy News. Looks like my face has shifted down a little. There we go. Despite onslaught of liberal media, Trump approval at 49%, 6 points higher than Obama at same point in his presidency. Now remember, Trump, let's state a couple other facts. Trump has not won his second term yet. Obama did, illegally of course, but Trump is 6 points higher, and yet all the fake news was for Obama, including probably the reports of his 43% approval rating at the time. You see? While Trump has all the fake news against him, he's still 6 points ahead, and they're probably reporting actually lower approval ratings than what he actually has. I mean, actually, when you think about it, why on earth would there be 35,000 people that show up at the rallies and Hillary gets 500? And yet the popular vote was supposed to be Hillary won the popular vote, right? Something wrong there. Something rotten there, isn't there? President Trump's approval rating is at 49%. My guess, it's closer to 75%. If you want my educated guess, Barack Obama's approval rating was at 43% at a similar point in his presidency. This is also despite mainstream media reporting negatively on the highly successful President Trump 92% of the time. He's not highly successful. He's the best president the United States has ever had, including beyond Abraham Lincoln, who freed the slaves, including John F. Kennedy. And all the rest are way behind. Barack Obama had a cakewalk with the media when President Trump gets a chance to tell his side of the story unfiltered, and he gets a chance to tell the full story with all of his accomplishments that are ignored by the state-run media. His approval ratings skyrocket. This should worry Democrats. Oh, they are worried. You know this has to be the fake news, at least because 95% of all media is negative to POTUS, Sidney Powell tweets. If there were any fair measure, it would have to be at least 65% approval. Yes, like I said, at least. But I said 75%. Many people are brainwashed with endless media lies from the last 3 years. Very sad and bad. Wake up, USA. Just like Trump said, they have hurt the United States very bad with the Russian collusion delusion. It's official. U.S. is first country in world history to increase GDP by more than $1 trillion in a year. Oh, that's nothing to brag about. Come on. America was never great. Why are you trying to make it great again? Says the Muslims. For the second year in a row, President Trump broke the record for the largest annual increase by GDP in history. In 2017, the U.S. GDP increased by a record $853 billion. But this record was shattered in 2018 with an increase of greater than $1 trillion. The largest annual increase in GDP by any country in world history. The World Bank reported for 2017 that the U.S. was about 25% of the total world GDP of around $80 trillion. And remember, in 2018, when this happened and he got $1 trillion already, he was under the microscope of the Russian collusion delusion, Pitbull Mueller Russian collusion investigation. With all that, he still succeeded and shattered all records in the world. The World Bank reported the U.S. at $19 trillion to China's $12 trillion, Japan's $5 trillion, Germany's $4 trillion, and the UK's $3 trillion. For the year 2018, according to the US BEA, the US GDP landed at $20.9 trillion for the first time in history, being above $20 trillion for the year. The increase over last year's record high is the largest in history. The U.S. GDP increased by more than $1 trillion for the first time in history. But if you watch the New York Times, you read the New York Times and the WAPO, we're going into a depression right now. A major economic collapse. Along with this, President Trump has managed to keep the debt to GDP ratio from increasing since he became president. For 2018, the ratio is at the same amount as when he took over. By comparison, former President Obama increased the debt to GDP ratio by more than 25% in his first 2 years. Yeah, you'll ever notice that they always compare Obama and his increasing of the debt of, I think it was about, let's see, he increased it by $9 trillion in 8 years. I think it was $10 trillion, actually. So it was about $1.2 trillion per year, right? And that's almost the same as what Donald Trump has risen it. But the GDP was split in half by Obama, while Trump raised it 300%. That's why it's so much better. And remember, folks, if you think that Donald Trump has addressed the national deficit of I think it's almost 22 trillion right now, you'd be far from wrong. He hasn't even started on that yet. He's admitted that. Because first comes first, you gotta make money before you can pay the debts, right? Did you ever see a house pay off their car loans, home loans, everything else without a job? It doesn't happen, does it? You first got to make money in order to pay the bills, right? Basic kindergarten application there. The debt to GDP ratio would be less than when President Trump took over if the Fed left the interest rates alone and did not increase them after President Trump won the 2016 election. There's your U.S. debt to GDP ratio scale. And look at that. Here's the Obama years. What a joke, huh? You can see the GDP is way down here. But then all of a sudden, Trump just brought it right in sync. For 7 of Obama's 8 years in office, the Fed kept interest rates at 0%. Once Trump was elected, the Fed increased rates 8 times for a total of 2%. Another thing that was hard on Trump. But he just rained on, didn't he? He just smoothed it all out. Brought the GDP way up compared to what it was last. The GDP is the blue. But you can see the GDP of here, Obama, went up a little bit. But the debt, look how fast it climbed. You see? But remember, this is when Trump came into office. We're way over here. Not here, but here. So this is actually 2000. Yeah. So Obama came in right here. This is where he came in. And so they have another chart here, debt to GDP ratio, and that's what it's showing right there. See? So here it was climbing, but now all of a sudden, Trump came in 2016 and it went down, which is good. And then it went back up a little bit. And so basically it's even in the last 2 years. This alone accounts for nearly $1 trillion in U.S. debt that the Fed has added by increasing interest rates. And even after all that, we're still winning. Why? Because we have so many jobs. Because we have so many cutbacks in government. Because so many reasons. I could go on and on and on. The Fed appears to be working against the U.S. interests, and still the U.S. economy under President Trump is setting miraculous records. The U.S. is winning, and setting significant positive records under President Trump. Imagine what he could do with a Congress and a Fed that worked for the American people. Imagine what Jesus Christ will do when he reigns the earth as King of Kings and Lord of Lords for 1,000 years, and Satan is bound in the pit of hell. Ooh, we might have 100 billion people on the earth, and there will be so much wealth that'd be amazing, and so many poisons will be put down. Thank you for listening. Praise the Lord for all wonderful things.
Let me be serious with you. I would rather that you donate to my ministry directly. I cannot survive financially to keep this ministry and news service going without your help. And we all know there are plans to shut me down again. But many of you would like to receive a gift or product as a token of my appreciation. And I don't blame you. Isn't it about time Uncle Sam started paying you instead of you paying him? It is about time. The federal government pays you your rent check. The government rents out thousands of buildings instead of buying them every year. This is all funded by the current $11.1 billion building fund in our budget. Get your free federal rent check today. Sign up with the Federal Millionaire information here down below. Become a shareholder to receive federal rent checks for life by making a one-time investment as a shareholder. An IRS ruling declares this to be totally legal. This is no joke, no scam, and been for many years. The longer your name is on the distribution list, the larger your federal rent check grows. As inflation rises along with real estate, the government pays you more every year. Starting out as little as $1,800 a month would be your rent check. Wouldn't that be nice to receive every month a rent check like that? The federal government continues to raise your income as inflation rises. This puts an end to retiring with a fixed income that leaves you going broke as you get older. This will put a major dent in those people who hate their home taxes going up every year, wouldn't it? And folks, the price for this valuable information will cost you only $39 a year or $79 for a 2-year membership. Sign up today.